Gold Trails and Ghost Towns. Share the adventures of our early pioneers as we explore the development of the Pacific Northwest and beyond. With your host, Mike Roberts, and historian Bill Barley.
Welcome to Gold Trails and Ghost Towns. Mike Roberts and Bill Barley, our storyteller for all sorts of things today. One of our just the most popular shows we did a year or so ago was about collectibles, and we'll tell you about what I'm wearing on my wrist in a little while. But collectibles, well, how many would you have in your collection, Bill, at this stage?
15,000 probably, Mike.
15,000 bits and pieces of Pacific Northwest history.
I would think so, yeah.
Now, what makes a collectible valuable or not valuable?
Well, it varies with a collectible, Mike.
Yep.
First of all, if it's old, if it's in good condition, if it's in an area that people are collecting, such as Hudson's Bay Company, Plains Indians, and so on, Ghost Town stuff, that all adds up. And the provenance of the item, knowing where it came from.
That's what provenance is, the story behind it.
Provenance is documentation.
All right. Now, have you got the provenance on all the items we're going to see here today?
I have the provenance on probably 90% of the items.
Now, if somebody should encounter one of these pieces or see something here that they say, I think I know what that's about, would you appreciate hearing from them so you got a little more provenance?
Sure, they should send me a photograph, that's all.
Yeah? All right. We're going to take a look at some more of Bill's collection today as Gold Trails and Ghost Towns takes a look at the artifacts of the past. Don't go away. Welcome back to Gold Trails and Ghost Towns, talking about collectibles today, artifacts from any given period of time. And why don't we start with, I guess, the color that represents Canadian authority around the world, and that would be red serge.
Yeah, probably the most famous police force in the world. Started with the Northwest Mounted Police, became the Royal Northwest Mounted Police, and then now the Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
And here we have a red serge jacket. From what era?
Northwest Mounted Police.
Yeah, and you know this because of?
Well, the collar dogs are Northwest Mounted Police, and they are originals. The buttons are Northwest Mounted Police, and they are originals. The shoulder flashes are missing, unfortunately.
What would a pair of shoulder flashes go for these days to complete the uniform?
If they were originals, and you'd have to be very, very careful of that, because some spurious specimens are being made, probably a couple $100.
Couple of $100.
Yeah, for the red serge itself, complete would be well over $1,000.
Now, how do you take care of something like that? I mean, do you just leave it on the hanger so people can fondle it, or what?
No, it generally is out for display occasionally, but keep it out of light, definitely out of fluorescent light, Mike, and keep it in a cool room and make sure there are no moths around.
Lots of mothballs around it.
Well, yeah.
Okay, got a couple of pipes here today, too. Now, these are pipes that were used by what Indian group?
Well, this would be Plains Indians, and there's no doubt about it that these are original pipes, and you can tell by the drilling, by the way, Mike. They're also making spurious specimens of the original pipes.
Now, what about the drilling?
Well, the drilling is usually a little off-center, but in the pipes...
That would be an authentic one, would be off-center.
Yes, and there are other marks you can look for as well, but generally you look, that's the easy mark. This is a trade pipe. This would be traded in by Hudson's Bay Company or XY Company or American Fur Trading Company, and that's why it has the metal inserts. So this is a trade pipe.
It's inlaid and it's got interesting designs, but this would have been a European manufacture.
Yes, but used by the Indians. They would use this in their pipe smoking ceremonies.
Now, do they have their own personal detachable wooden
of course they do.
thing that would sit in there?
Highly embellished. Didn't bring them with me. It's easier to handle without them.
Now, how about this one?
That's an original as well. That's Catlinite pipe, named after George Catlin, the famous Western artist. And there's a huge deposit of this stone in Minnesota. And rather interesting. There were two famous pipes in the Great Plains. One was Catlinite, and the other was Chopaka from the South Similkameen, which is interesting.
All right, and again, a trade item.
No, this would be manufactured by the Indians.
By the Indians
Yes,
themselves.
almost exclusively.
All right,
yep.
And they would use these ceremonially? Would they also be used sort of every day? Were they everyday smokers?
Well, yeah, some of them were, but they would make a ceremony out of many things because they weren't going by the second hand of the clock.
Yeah, that's right. The day was a more,
that's right, much more leisurely.
Serene, leisurely kind of day.
That's right.
Now, things which are very fragile, of course, I mean, anything that's made out of paper and stuff is not going to last, but these are postcards.
And these are representative of the type of postcards you would like to have. Anything with a stern wheeler on it, if it's original, then you should keep it. You should also look at the back of the postcards to make sure they are original. They're making copies of some of the black and whites. That's original.
And I mean, you know, if you've got a letter on the back.
And original stamp or part of the original stamp. So you have to be very, very careful of that. There are some that are being passed off as originals, and they are not. So the next one is Ghost Town. Ghost Towns are always collectible. This is Phoenix. And there's the Brooklyn Hotel, and that's Lower Town.
And this has been hand-painted, one of these hand-painted.
Yeah, that would be $50 or $60, $70 now.
Nothing written on the back here, but people would look at it, well, that looks enough distress for it to be real.
Yeah.
But some counterfeiters would be pretty good distressors in their day.
Yeah, but not yet, not in this particular area of collecting.
Okay. Chief Joseph's Camp.
Chief Joseph's Camp, this would be in the Nispalem district, Colville area. And very important, any Indian material is quite good.
Now this would have been a fascination to anybody. I mean, if they were out west on a visit and could send this back, and this is circa what age do you
that would
figure?
be circa Chief Joseph's Camp, probably circa 1910.
These are my favorites. I love anything to do with locomotives or trains.
And this is great. This is a CPR train coming out of Slocan City, the old mining town, become ghost town in the West Kootenai country.
And look at, they've got the crew, a guy in a bowler hat there. They got this, everything
so any
on.
trains, any locomotives, especially in front, very. Fire engines, fires, also very, very attractive. This is New Westminster, Vancouver, probably about turn of the century, maybe, probably turn of the century just after. Because there's a couple of cars there as well.
Right. And look at, there's another one. This satisfies more than one requirement.
Sure it does.
The west, the wilderness, the wild rivers, and the sternway.
Yeah, that's the famous White Horse coming through Miles Canyon.
I think it says Five Finger Rapid.
Yeah, well, that's Miles Canyon.
Is that
Five Finger
Miles
Rapids,
Canyon?
all the same sort of,
Now, beautiful. Now, these, I mean, do you just walk into a souvenir store or walk into an antique store and find these on the rack?
You can occasionally on dealers who work specifically with postcards and paper ephemera, but becoming more difficult to find, Mike. So be careful and don't lend them out.
Well, and what do you do with them? Just keep them in the shoebox along with all of your other photographs?
Well, you can, yeah. Again, keep them out of direct light. Stay away from fluorescence. Make sure it isn't too hot, and they'll probably last for a long, long time.
Right. Here we have a very fine flag.
Yeah.
This flag is the Hudson's Bay Company
Yeah,
flag.
we showed that in one original show, but didn't discuss it in any great detail. And the original flags are very, very difficult to get. The Hudson's Bay Company is making flags now. This happens to be an original. I know the provenance of the entire flag. It flew over Hudson's Bay Fort many, many years ago, and it happens to be in superb condition. There's one moth hole down here, that's all.
And that was actually a moth from 1898, ain't that? Now look at, also, I just take a look at all the stitching and everything that's been done here, and it's very intricate.
Oh, yeah.
And it kind of looks, kind of rough and stuff.
The Hudson's Bay Company was the only company that was given royal permission or royal charter to fly the Union Jack along with their company emblem. So Hudson's Bay Company with the Union Jack.
Okay, you've also got some maps. The Hudson's Bay Company was a huge company, started in 1670. And so it has a huge, lengthy history. I think in past years we took a look at a jug, a whiskey jug, but they had maps, they had badges, they had uniforms, they had trade goods.
Everything they produced was first class, virtually first class, including their jugs, which were almost throwaway. They had the Hudson's Bay emblem and all the rest of it on it.
Now, I mean, if you were to find anything with the Hudson's Bay insignia on it, can you be assured it's real, or are they also being reproduced?
There are some being passed off. There's a Stein that's being passed as a Hudson's Bay Company, and it isn't, it's German.
So you watch for that. Hudson's Bay Company, certainly the oldest company in Canada.
One of the oldest companies in the world, trading company.
Now, this material is beautiful, and we talked about beadwork before, but this is doubly beautiful because it's part of leggings and
Plainscree.
And you would know that by the flowers?
Well, I know it from the individual I got it from. Now, there are two types of beading. The beading prior to about 1870 was almost all geometric, beading like this, Mike.
Yeah.
Okay? That's geometric beading. This is floral beading. This is floral pattern. So they picked that up. Now the Indian nations are going back to the geometric, which was the original beading.
So this was the oldest, and now they're kind of getting back to that.
That's right.
Now, there's another one there that looks like a bit of a fleur-de-lis and various other things on it there. Is that...
Oh, yes, these are probably both. This one's about turn of the century. This one may be slightly before turn of the century. And that's a pipe bag.
Now, again, this is the kind of thing that can be replicated, but what do you sense? I mean, what do you look at here to determine the veracity of it?
Yeah, the original beads are much different than the present-day beads. They vary in size usually, and there are certain colors they used in preference to other colors.
Yeah.
You know, the Blackfoot, they tended to go towards blues and whites, and the Sioux went towards a certain color, the Cree went towards certain colors, and so on. And the beads are different. Under a glass, they are usually different. Now, they'll probably get that down to a fine art as well. Then it'll be very difficult.
You know, I sometimes hear people talking about what life must have been like for the native people pre-European arrival, and you already alluded to the fact that they worked on a different clock.
Yeah, they did.
So at this time of the year, whenever they did this, they must have been well-fed, happy, the weather was fine or something, and they had a chance to sit and do this.
They had lots of time, and these are quite valuable, and they're actually museum pieces. There's a vast collector's market in Indian beadwork, mostly from Germany and Japan, and a lot from the United States of America as well. And something like this would run probably $500 or $600.
And it's just so beautiful.
Oh, it is.
And you know something about the people when you handle that and see that.
Yeah, you do it. Marvelous work.
We're going to segue to some cowboy regalia in a minute, but we'll take a break first of all as Gold Trails and Ghost Towns and Collectibles continues. Welcome back to Gold Trails and Ghost Towns. I told you a little bit of a fib. I said we're going to go on to some cowboy items, but there's one more, a piece of Indian artifact here that I just wanted to take a look at. This is amazing. It's got a very flexible handle, but this is a stone head. Now, what kind of stone is that?
That's a sandstone type. Give more whip to the head as you hit somebody across the face with it.
Whoa, that weighs, I would guess that's about a 1 pound stone on the end.
That would do the job.
And wielded at the end of a 1 foot long or longer.
And a rider galloping full tilt.
Ooh, that would give you the headache of the
And the
century.
Plains Indians were the best riders in the world, so they could lean off and take a very healthy swipe at you with that one.
And again, would this be, and now some people would say, okay, I want to collect something, but I want to collect something that has actually been used in history. Would this have ever been used in anger, or is it just too ceremonial with all the beadwork?
No, that could have been used in anger as well. You know, the handle is covered with hide, and rawhide, and it's beaded. It would be used in ceremony as well, but would also be taken out on the road.
On the road. It could be put to use on a... And why would they have this rawhide wrapped around the willow?
So they wouldn't lose their grip on the handle. If it was a very, very hot day and they were gripping that, it might have some effect upon slipping away from them. They don't want to lose this.
I guess not.
Especially when you need it.
They worked long and hard to form that into that shape.
And you might need it, too.
Okay. Now, I'll put that just down there. Now we get to some cowboy items. I've been wearing these, and these are, what do they call? Do they have a special name?
They're cuffs.
That's all they are?
Yep.
Okay.
Leather cuffs.
And now they've got all of this brass beadwork on them, brass tacking, and they've also got what looks like silver. Is that silver?
Yeah, it's Mexican silver. That's about 80% silver. So it isn't good silver, but it's all they could afford, I guess, and it looks nice. It still holds its polish. Would have some verdigris if you wore it too long.
Great leather on there. And what was its function? What was the purpose of these?
Riding through the bush, you didn't want your sleeves catching and so on. So it helped.
And they were snapped, and you slid them off and slid them on. Kind of neat. Other cowboy artifacts here, firearms is always interesting. People say, if I could find a gun from the Old West, I think that would be a really neat thing to have. What's this little model?
Well, they're gun laws, so it really doesn't apply to that. That's 1858. That's a wheellock. That's an Allen, and that's 130 odd years old. So it would probably still work, paper cartridges, I guess, on that one. And but firearms you have to be careful with. Make sure they're registered. But that's an historic piece.
And again, now I don't know, something about the firearms manufacturers. They created a work of art when they did it. A very nice woodwork, blued steel. And again, if you knew who owned it, it becomes that much more valuable.
I have an idea, but I haven't pinned it down yet. I know where I got it from, so.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, that's part of the deal. And there's all sorts, I got another gun here too. I don't know whether you wanted me to bring it up at this stage or
Sure.
later, but this is a, is it Wells Fargo?
That's Wells Fargo. And remember, Wells Fargo was all through the West. They were in British Columbia as well, and so they were players on the British Columbia economic scene in the Fraser River Rush for at least a time under Garish and Green. And you can look at the number here, actually, Mike. We looked at this some years ago, I think 6 or 7 years ago. It has Wells Fargo and Company Express. 842 is the number.
And so
And that's by Ames Company, I believe, that particular one.
and a very nice piece of work, and
Yeah.
very old, because these kind of hammers, this is not
Sure.
for a newer model gun, although it's
That's
center
right.
fire,
Yeah.
but very old-fashioned.
Yeah, it's a beautiful gun.
Very nice.
And actually a piece that you could not carry about with you in your car because the barrel was under 20 inches.
All right, so you have to make sure when you carry this, it's from point to point.
Very true.
And immediately back there. Okay, brass knuckles. There they are. They're down here. This particular set of brass knuckles we talked about, I think, a long time ago, but these are ladies'
Yeah,
brass
they are.
knuckles.
Yeah. They came out of Slocan City, and hotel owner's son gave them to me, and he's well into his 70s right now, some years ago, and they were for the bar girls and the dancers. If somebody got a little bit too amorous, they'd pull them out with a pair of ladies' brass knuckles, and they only fit women.
That's
See,
right.
They won't go over your knuckles.
They would have to slide all the way back to
And
these
fit
first.
virtually any woman from 6 feet 3 inches right down to 5'3".
All right, they're not necessarily available at
Yeah.
your local ladies' fashion store.
That's right.
Some beautiful little lead soldiers, lead toys.
And by the best maker in the business.
Now, the best maker in the business would always put his name on the bottom,
That's right.
and this says made
In England,
in England by
Britain's Limited.
Britain's Limited Proprietors, copyright.
Copyright. And they're very, very rare. They're very tough to get. An original boxed set of that would run you hundreds and hundreds of dollars, perhaps much more.
And they were-
Condition is extremely important. Something's missing, it's going to affect the value of the piece.
And they were animated too, because this
Sure.
guy's got
They
an
were articulated.
articulating
Yeah,
shoulder.
that's right.
And he can move his gun
That's
up
right.
and down.
When I was a kid, I had 350 of them.
Did you?
Yeah.
Now, you were talking to me about how do you take care of these little beauties.
Well, you don't pack them away, especially in newspaper, because newspaper interacts with the paint, and so you have to be extremely careful, keep them cool. Generally keep them out of the light, at least a harsh light, and don't let kids handle them.
Yeah, these aren't toys anymore. These have become heritage items,
Sure.
and so you've got to look after them. I mean, by comparison, my little plastic soldier figures from the 1950s aren't much. These ones are the babies. Did you mention already? My brain was not thinking or paying attention. Did you talk about what these would be worth at this stage of the
Well,
game?
they'd probably run for a full set, 4 or 5 to a set would be $500 in pristine condition.
Yeah.
In condition like this, probably $50, $75 each, somewhere around there.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me just take a look again. I mean, any country that has a railway that tied it together and was as strategic and essential as as the CPR was, anything to do with the railway is an important baby.
Oh, sure.
Look, isn't that a great plaque?
That
on the
is
front?
that's, as far as we know, a one-of-a-kind badge, and that was made for a bullion guard who served in the San Francisco Mint for the CPR.
You
So
know
he
all
would
of
be
that?
a CPR employee, yeah.
How do you know all of that?
I researched it, and it's very, very tough. It has a CPR beaver at the top. It is not a spurious specimen. It is not a phony, and it's very, very nice piece.
I mean, could you write back to the Canadian Pacific and say, I have a hat, it's number 2018, can you tell me who was issued that hat in the old days?
I don't think their records go back that way like the armaments companies.
No?
No.
Oh, okay. Now, this one here is a slightly different, looks a little bit more modern,
Yeah, it is a little
CPR
bit,
trainman.
but relatively old, you know.
Yeah.
That's probably, I'm guessing a little bit, not being an authority on the CPR, but having a kind of a passing knowledge, that would be about 40 years old, I guess.
Yeah. And, of course, the railway. And
Sure.
as I said, I'm such a fiend for railways anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Along with, we always talk about how impressive. I'm not going to break your stuff, Bill.
I know, makes me nervous.
This, in the CPR and a variety of other
Yeah.
places, had some great china. So did some other hotels.
Oh, you bet.
Now this is, and other places, the post office in Rosslyn.
Yeah, that was made for the tourist trade in the 1890s, Mike. That's interesting.
Okay.
Very, very nice piece.
Okay.
And anything with the picture of the original building on it. This is one or two of a kind. I think the Parsons family has one of these in Karameas. I have the other complete.
The Hotel Similkameen.
And that's the Hotel Similkameen in Old Headley, the old mining town. So anything with mining towns on it, with the original photograph or the original picture on it, is significantly worth more. Where you get just the crest, like this one is. Now, that's an old one. That's probably only about $30, $40. The other ones run into the hundreds.
The Great Northern Hotel.
The Great Northern Hotel in Princeton.
And not far away, the Hotel Quilchena. Is that the one in the
That's an original. That's right. Now, the Quilchena is putting out plates like this, but they aren't quite the same as the originals. This is an original.
What a beauty. Now, I'm just thinking to myself that so many of these things probably would just get discarded and smashed
straight to the garbage. That's why they're so rare now.
So if you've got a 5-piece place setting, you got something.
You bet you have. You bet you have.
And I understand, and this is I mean, in this age of political correctness, it's perhaps a mistake to accuse housewives of doing anything, but they are perhaps the greatest destroyers of historical memorabilia, just making sure they keep the house clean and neat.
Well, some of it's dropped. I've occasionally done it, only once in my life, but regretted it ever after, of course.
Well, and you're letting me play with this stuff
I'll let you play with it.
All right. One that I'm not going to pick up because it's just too dang big is a strong box. And these, I mean, I think we've talked about strong boxes before. This is a reasonably new strong box, or one that you picked up only recently. Will you hold on to the cutlery?
I will be delighted.
Thank you very much. This baby, and boy, I'll tell you, that lid is substantial. Where's it come from? Well,
that came out of a little mining town just over the line, so it could have come into Canada as well. And I bought it from a dealer down in the United States, and I'm inclined to pick up stuff and bring it back into Canada.
Well, and especially if you're repatriating it, do you think it's
I think it probably went across the border both ways, so it could be American, or certainly owned by an American family.
Substantial.
Yeah, it's beauty.
This is an original Pinkerton's National Detective Agency poster.
Poster, yeah.
And are they wanted persons, these persons down here? Are these the guys who were wanted?
Yeah, well, they're two shots of the same individual. And $200 reward, wanted for forgery, Charles G. Bell, alias R.A. Turner. And whether they got him or not, Pinkertons usually were successful, especially with a $200 reward. And the reward posters are getting, also you have to be very, very careful because they're easy to turn out, Mike, with the new very, very fancy and advanced machinery you can use in the printing business. Have to be extremely careful that you get them from the right source. So don't buy a book of reward posters unless you know who you're dealing with.
So if you say, I just found this great little shop just off the beaten track and they got all of this stuff.
Be very, very careful.
Not necessarily the real McCoy.
Not necessarily at all.
Okay. Listen, this is just wonderful. I got one final thing to look at. Captain M. McLeod is now he's probably wondering where that beautiful brass sign off his door went.
Yeah, well, that's McLeod, who was a sternwheeler captain on the Kootenai Lakes, and I believe he may have been on the Okanagan Lakes as well. And that was taken off a CPR ship many, many years ago as scrap. And I bought it for hundreds of dollars because it was, I think, very important.
Great stuff. Some of Bill Barley's collection as we take a look at collectibles. Join us next time for Gold Trails and Ghost Towns. Bye-bye.